That's IQWealth.com. I'm Amanda Sutphin.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you, and it must be Friday. Indeed it is. The first Friday of December 2018, December 7th. And you are listening to Health Futures, and if this is the first time you've tuned in, this show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And how are we able to do this? Your host, Bob Roth, is able to do it by bringing extraordinary guests here to the show. My family, we operate a home care agency. We enable older adults to be able to stay at home and live out their lives as independent as they can and would like to be. And how do we do this? We do this by employing caregivers. And these are trained employees of Cypress Home Care Solutions that are thoroughly checked out, background checked, vetted out. They're trained in our training lab, and they have CPR, first aid, caregiver training, test negative for TB, and they have incredible hearts. And we are certainly looking for more caregivers because this is the time of year. So if you are listening in and you are one of those caring spirits, or you know someone that is that caring spirit, you can work for as many hours or as little hours as you need to. Just call our office at Cypress Home Care. You can reach us at 602-264-8009. So I want to get on with the show. I've got a repeat guest. This is number 5. I've got Marcia Goodman here in the house. She's an attorney at law over at Fraser, Ryan, Goldberg, and Arnold. She's an elder law elder law attorney, and she certainly is a caregiver too, but she is also a good friend. Number 5 here at Health Futures, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob. So for my 5th time, do I get a watch or something?
Well, we can talk about that. They always say the 5th time's a charm, so today's going to be a charming discussion.
I hope so.
We've got so many things to talk about. It's hard to believe here we are in the month of December. It is December 7th, and it is the last day for Medicare annual enrollment. So if you've not done your selection, you got to do it today, right, Marcia?
That's right. If you are already on Medicare and you like your plan, whether it's an Advantage plan or your supplement, then you don't need to call. You would be re-enrolled in the same thing again. But if you want to make any changes, today's the day. So if you have a health insurance agent that you work with, you better get on the phone. Might have to leave a message on a day like this, or get on the computer at cms.gov. That's the website for Medicare to make any changes. But today's the day, and there's some exceptions for certain circumstances. If you move, or if you move from one county to another, and the plan you are in is not in the new county. But for the most part, you need to make that selection today, or you're going to continue with the same plan in all the way through 2019.
And one of the questions is, in 2000, if you are still 64 but you turn 65 in 2019, you need to make a selection today, right?
No, that's not true.
So how's that work?
So when the time comes for your birthday, when you're going to turn 65, you probably would want to get online at cms.gov and make them aware that you want to enroll. But you don't have to do that today. You can do that enrollment and be in Medicare. The effective day would be the first day of the month of the month in which your 65th birthday occurs.
Okay.
But for that, that's one of those exceptions that you don't have to do it now. That would be your initial enrollment.
So you can enroll next year if you're turning 65 next year.
That's right.
Awesome. So also December 7th is a day that'll live in infamy, and that is Pearl Harbor Day. And it's hard to believe that it was that many years ago, and all those lives were lost. And we have a special place in our heart here in Arizona because we lost a lot of lives on the USS Arizona. And December 7th is a near and dear date in our heart, remembering those that served and certainly those that lost their lives in World War II and Pearl Harbor Day. It's also, veterans, and I think it's a great segue for us to talk about some of the new rules that are in place for the VA aid and attendance programs.
Yeah, that's right. And, we have just a very small number still of our World War II veterans and the veterans that served in Pearl Harbor. But we have many, many Korean War veterans and Vietnam veterans, plus the more recent conflicts. And there is the VA aid and attendance benefit, which is a cash benefit that's available to veterans or the surviving spouses of a veteran who served during wartime. So this is separate. They don't have to have had a service-connected injury or illness. This is just if they happen to have served during those time periods and they need a little extra cash to help pay for a care facility or the type of care that Cypress provides, or even if they need to pay even a family member to help them out. And it's an excellent benefit because as it is a cash benefit deposited into their bank account, it's really flexible. They have just issued new rules. The rules went into effect the middle of October that changes a teeny bit the way in which you plan for those benefits. On the one hand, they've made some things much more clearly defined, all in favor of the veteran. So, for example, when they list the kinds of expenses that can be reimbursed with this benefit, it's very flexible as far as even if you need nutritional supplements, so Ensure or Boost or certain vitamins that a senior takes, all of that can be counted as reimbursable expenses.
Wow.
And that was never clearly defined, so we would always sort of wonder, okay, we'll take a chance and see what happens. But now they allow that all to be reimbursed. The one thing that might be perceived as a negative by some folks is now there is a look-back period, because there is an amount of money, a maximum amount of money that you can have to be eligible. And you used to be able to transfer funds, whether to a family member or an irrevocable trust, in 1 month, and then you could be eligible the very next month. Now there is a 3-year look-back period, so similar to Medicaid, although it's 3 years, not 5.
Right. It used to be 3 many years ago.
That's right. And the penalty, there's only a maximum 5-year penalty period. So I would say that if you or a family member feels that you could benefit from this assistance, you would definitely want to either talk to one of the veteran service organizations, the DAV or the American Legion or the Arizona State Department of Veteran Services, or an attorney who's accredited to assist with VA benefits to see if it makes sense or how you might start your planning.
And they can always reach you.
Yes, they can.
And how do we do that?
You would call our office at Fraser, Ryan, Goldberg, and Arnold, 602-277-2010, or our website is www.frgalaw.com.
Awesome. And, as we sit here and talk about veterans, we had a phenomenal week in paying tribute to President number 41, George Herbert Walker Bush, who really is one of the World War II veterans, one of the last of the great generation that is still alive and that served for us, certainly served in the forces, but also served politically in the Oval Office. And what a wonderful tribute this week has been. Remarkable man, and Godspeed and God bless, and we need to find more people like him who were gentlemen. Well, as you hear this song here in the background, this was a request of yours, so thank you, Marcia. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. Marcia, we're down one segment. We got 3 more to go. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home? Before you even call a realtor, the first call you should make is to the Lund Mortgage Team to get pre-approved for a loan in just minutes. This way you know exactly what to tell your realtor you are looking for and the budget you have for your new home. Hey everybody, Mark Asher to remind you about keeping it local. As many of you know, I was born and raised in Arizona, so when I see great companies who are all about the Valley, people who grew up in the same area and call the same area I live in home, it makes me proud. It makes me want to use that company. The Lund Mortgage Team is just that. They have been in the Valley for decades and have built their name on trust, honesty, and the true meaning of hard work. They are available nights, weekends, or whenever is convenient for your family to meet. They offer the lowest rates and the lowest fees as well. It's all about you when working with the Lund Mortgage Team. So call today, 623-875-9940. You can also get pre-approved online at lundmortgageteam.com. Call today, 623-875-9940.
Sun Devil men's basketball soared to unprecedented heights last season, and now they're back hungrier than ever. Head coach Bobby Hurley returns to the hardwood with an impressive mix of returning starters, new additions, and highly touted freshmen. Secure your seat to the most raucous arena in the Valley with the ultimate flexibility of a 6-game mini plan. You choose the games you want to attend, including home matchups with Kansas and Arizona, with packages starting at $96. Purchase your mini plan online at sundeviltickets.com. That's sundeviltickets.com.
Make Burlington your one-stop holiday shop for the hottest gifts for everyone. Name brand watches, gift baskets, wireless, sweaters, toys at a fraction of the price. Burlington, gifts for everyone.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're on segment number 2, and if you're just tuning in, I got Marsha Goodman here in the house. She's an elder law attorney with Fraser, Ryan, Goldberg, and Arnold. And one of the great things you get, Marsha, when you've been on our show for the 5th time is you get to select some of the music. So our listening audience is enjoying some of Marsha's selections. I think, Wes, what was that? Was that a little AC/DC?
Yes.
AC/DC. Shit the thrill! I love it. I absolutely love it. So when we left off on the first segment, we talked a little bit about VA benefits. We talked about Medicare enrollment, today being the last day. And we did, just leave off at the very end talking about President George Herbert Walker Bush and what a great tribute this week has been to his life. And more than anything that I really marvel at is his relationship with his wife, Barbara. What a great love story that is. And we should all be so blessed to have a partner like the two of them were in life.
Absolutely, and to be married more than 70 years.
More than 70 years.
Almost hard to comprehend.
And the one thing that he did, which is a lost art, was the letter writing.
Yes.
It's just, it's such a beautiful thing that, the family, the children and the grandchildren have these letters, and they will cherish them for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. So, really talking about partners and talking about life, you do a lot of planning and, advance directives, planning on, what if, the inevitables. And, I get a chance to write a column for 2 different publications here in town. One is the Jewish News. The other one is Love and Life After 50. I get a little help from my better half, my partner, Susie Roth, for 29 years. She's been a guest here on the show. And I want to read a little something to you and our listening audience about the column I write called Aging Today. And that is the header of the title of our column is very appropriate. It's Begin with the End in Mind. And it really replays a conversation that we had out with a couple. So Here it goes. Last weekend, while out to dinner with close friends, I committed a social faux pas. The conversation came to a screeching halt, followed by radio silence. Okay, you're probably thinking we were talking politics, religion, maybe hashtag Me Too. No to all of them. Initiating a discussion of advanced care planning seemed like a logical progression after discussing a relative of ours undergoing treatment for cancer. Pushing a bit harder to engage in the topic, I was really swiftly admonished with this disapproving quip. Not exactly a conversation to have out on a Saturday night. Honestly, that's fair. I would so much rather be that fun guy laughing over lighthearted topics. However, when do we set aside the time for these serious conversations? What if we tried to lighten it up a little bit to get the discussion started? Perhaps Hallmark needs a card or a pamphlet like this to be included among its offerings.
Let's talk about life, my dear family or friend. To be clear, the subject is how mine will end. The exact details unknown, still it's time to discuss. Tomorrow I may choke or get hit by a bus. The world is uncertain except for taxes and death. I don't want you fighting about how I take my last breath. These topics are tough. This conversation a gift. You won't have to guess just how far I should drift. The coffee is brewing, sit down by my side. To kick off the session, let's use this book as our guide. I choose you as trustee, we agree, and you're nodding. Tell the doctors when it's time to stop poking and prodding. We'll talk now and more later about complex decisions. Remember, in the future, we can always make some revisions. What a great start. Wrap it up with a hug. A hearty laugh that you may still just trip over the plug.
You know, Marcia, National Healthcare Decision Day is April 16th. That's about 6 months from now. You know, we need to have these discussions now so that when that day comes, this stuff will all be memorialized. And, you know, I talk about this lighthearted discussion, actually dinner discussion, that got a little antsy or a little difficult because we were talking about end of life. How do we approach this? I mean, so many people in our community have not done this, and it's not. You and I've had this conversation on the air. It's not just for old people, you know, young people like you and me, right?
That's right.
and really, we've talked even about my children. Mm-hmm. You know, we need to have our plans memorialized.
Well, you know, I'd be interested to know if the people who were uncomfortable with the topic when you were out were more our generation versus folks who are older, because sometimes I think as you age, you do become maybe a little bit more realistic. You accept it a little bit more, where it's the children who are uncomfortable thinking about that, about their parents and their loved ones, and not as likely to want to bring it up. But nevertheless, every generation should do this, every adult.
It's not one conversation. I realize that. It's an ongoing dialogue. But, you know, my children know, Susie knows, and by the way, for those that don't know, that was Susie reading it because she's much better at poetry than I am, and she wrote those words as well. But, I mean, there's a lot of truth to what was written there and what was, you know, what we heard is that we need to have that conversation, and as difficult as it is, we need to have it while we're okay, we're healthy, we're not on our deathbed.
Absolutely. And not only because you never know what will happen again at any age. And sometimes when folks are in my office and we'll be talking about this, sometimes they'll look to each other and say, well, I'm fine. It's not time yet. And I often say, so how many accidents caused by a wrong way driver have you heard on the news in the last month?
Oh, gosh.
You know, something like that isn't just going to happen to someone who's elderly. And so you need to be prepared, just as you would with any sort of insurance, to just know that things are in place. Because if you don't make the decision yourself about who you choose, then someone else will decide who's going to decide on your behalf. And none of us want that.
And I would imagine in your practice, you see that happening.
I do. Way too many people come to the office for assistance to be appointed as the guardian or conservator for their loved one because they did not have powers of attorney in place at the time that the parent could have signed that. And that becomes not only expensive, frankly, to go to court and so forth, but really an invasion of privacy to have to stand up in open court and state that someone no longer has capacity, which is what's required for a guardianship or conservatorship, versus preparing those documents and just having them ready if and when you need them.
Well, not only expensive, and again, this is your world. I'm not in this world, but I would imagine sometimes you're not able to get that from the judge either. I mean, you may think you have a good case, but they're saying, I'm sorry,
right?
Not going to grant it.
We often say to people that, once you open the courthouse door, you lose control. And so, for example, we were working with a woman who felt that she needed to be the guardian for a disabled sister, but then sort of halfway through the process was frustrated with her sister and decided she didn't want to continue. And she said, I'm just going to withdraw it. And we had to say, it doesn't work that way. You've started the process, the ball is rolling, and it has to be, the court is going to see it through, and they're either going to require you to or choose some other person, not your choice, to be your sister. Those are the kinds of things that might happen if you haven't planned in advance.
Never open that door to the courthouse. That's not good. No. Much better to open the door to a qualified attorney like Marsha Goodman to be able to help you navigate and help you memorialize your wishes.
And, that was nice of you to say, Bob, but you don't even necessarily need to open the door to an attorney's office. The website of our Arizona Attorney General has the forms for the HealthCare powers of attorney and the living will. Those are always up to date to the current law, and they're available on that website, which is azag.gov. And so certainly we're happy to do comprehensive planning for our clients, but let's say you are aware that someone's health is declining, or they have some surgery scheduled, or whatever reason that you need to have that in hand, there's a way to accomplish that even without going to an attorney.
So I'm up on the Attorney General's office website, and for the last 9.5 years, I've had the pleasure of being on their task force against senior abuse, and I haven't been on the website in a while. You should check it out. And I'm talking not so much as you, Marcia, but our listening audience, azag.gov. All you have to do is go to seniors, which is the fourth column on the right, up on the top, and hit the drop-down, and Life Care Planning is where you want to go, and everything is there.
That's right.
Everything is there. And this is just Bob Roth, you should fill out all those forms, but you should still also seek professional advice. Don't do it alone. And the other thing I see up here, and it's something that we can talk about in the third segment, and this is the thing that just really, really, it bothers me, for lack of a better word. It upsets me, and that is all the fraud that is going on and all these scams that are going on with seniors. There's so many scams that are going on, and I would imagine that you probably have some stories that you can probably share in the third segment and things to really look out for, because you know what? This is the greatest generation and a vulnerable population. We're at halftime here at Health Futures. It's hard to believe it. Marcia, we're down 2 segments. We've got one more to go. Stick around. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm Bob Roth, your host. I got Marsha Goodman here in the house. She is with Frazier, Ryan, Goldberg, and Arnold. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
A stunning revelation from White House lawyer Rudy Giuliani, who says he's heard from former campaign chairman Paul Manafort's lawyers that special counsel Mueller thinks Manafort has lied to him about the president and what he knew about a June 2016 meeting at Trump Tower with Russians who claimed to have dirt on Hillary Clinton. In addition, the Mueller-Russia team has questioned White House Chief of Staff John Kelly about potential obstruction of justice, while reports suggest that Kelly could be leaving the White House at any time. Former Bush 41 Attorney General William Barr has been nominated by the president to return to that post.
There's no one more capable or more qualified for this role. He deserves overwhelming bipartisan support. I suspect he'll probably get it.
The president has also nominated Heather Nauert to become UN ambassador while downgrading that post to non-cabinet status. On Wall Street, more big losses again today. The Dow down more than 500 points. I'm Mike Moss.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please call this toll-free number right now. 800-390-9528. That's 800-390-9528. By calling your addiction team, you're taking the first steps to recovery. The help you need could be one call away. 800-390-9528. Make the free call now. 800-390-9528. Your addiction team is a third-party advertiser for various treatment centers and placement networks. Individual results will vary. Visit youraddictionteam.com/terms for more information.
Message and data rates may apply.
What if there were a top-ranked business degree that gave you access to world-renowned faculty, leaders, and mentors, but on your schedule? The W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University is now accepting high-quality applicants for its online MBA, Information Management, and Business Analytics Master's programs. Learn more about the W.P. Carey business degrees online. For more information, text RANK to 79645. That's RANK to 79645.
There are many who call themselves money experts. You're listening to Money Radio, a quarter century of bringing you the best in money experts every day.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 AM, professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
This is David Kogan with Eliances, ELIANCES.com. Unlock the secrets to Richard Branson, founder who we interviewed, Big Lots CEO, president of Telemundo, founder of North Face, Chuck E. Cheese founder, and hundreds more. Every Monday at noon and Saturday at 7 a.m. on Money Radio. Go to Eliances.com, ELIANCES.com to unlock the secrets of some of the most successful people in the world. Eliances.com.
Hey everybody, Mark Asher here with a story I think you all love and respect. You know, many times we hear about fathers turning the family business over to their sons, but it's not every day we hear about the daughters who end up running the family business. We are lucky here in the Valley as we have that very story with the Lund Mortgage Team. Let me introduce you to my friend, the CEO of the Lund Mortgage Team, Lisa Lund.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Lisa, your dad, Stan, was one of the best in the mortgage business and started the company when you were just a young girl. How proud are you today to own the Lund Mortgage Team?
I'm extremely proud and honored. I was able to work with my father side by side for 16 years before he unfortunately passed away in 2014. In that time, he taught me how to run a business with honesty and integrity. My dad believed in handshakes, face-to-face interaction, and most importantly, putting the client first. Today, the Lund Mortgage Team continues to carry on this personal touch. My family would love to help your family with any of your mortgage needs.
Family owned and operated. Call the Lund Mortgage Team today, 623-875-9940.
Make Burlington your one-stop holiday shop for the hottest gifts for everyone. Name brand watches, gift baskets, wireless, sweaters, toys at a fraction of the price. Burlington, gifts for everyone.
Jim Chesko with Your Money Now. Wall Street is the scene of heavy selling today. The Dow Jones Industrial's down 485 points. The Nasdaq has slid 175. Growth in U.S. healthcare spending slowed in 2017 to rates not seen since just after the recession, a deceleration tied to softer demand for medical services and weakness in healthcare coverage gains after years of expansion. Spending on all healthcare increased 3.9% last year to $3.5 trillion. That's down from a 4.8% rate of growth in 2016. Rocker Joan Jett's record label is suing a payroll software company, saying it ripped off her chart topper, I Love Rock and Roll, for a TV ad. The civil suit says Paycom and Blackheart Records last July talked about using the song for an ad campaign, but that no deal was made. Yet in September, the software company aired a spot tagline to get your employees rocking with Paycom, with music that is virtually identical to Jett's 1982 smash hit. That's Your Money Now.
The clock is ticking. Every day you put off buying life insurance can cost you big time. The older you get, the more you'll have to pay. And a sudden accident or unexpected illness could cause your rates to skyrocket or even make you uninsurable. Beat the clock. Call SelectQuote now. No hassle, no obligation. In minutes, you'll have a choice of your best rates from up to 10 highly rated life insurance companies. Richard, 40 years old, takes meds to control his cholesterol. Still, SelectQuote got him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. Under $1 a day. Don't risk your family's security another minute. Get your free quote now. Just call 800-569-2121. That's 800-569-2121. 800-569-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all.
(264-8009). Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. And we got tunes here selected by Marsha Goodman, our guest. She is the elder law attorney from Fraser, Ryan, Goldberg, and Arnold. And if you just are tuning in now, you missed two incredible segments, and I encourage you to go out to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button. The third button down is radio show. You'll catch those first two segments, and you'll catch, gosh, I'm going to say close to 250 of them up there now that we've been bringing to you for 5 years. So in our first segment, we talked about the annual enrollment period being today, being the last day. We talked about new rules for the VA, aid and attendance program. We talked about Pearl Harbor Day, and we also talked about advanced planning in our second segment. And you got a chance to hear from my bride, my partner, my love of my life, Susie Roth, reading poetry, but really trying to bring it home that we really need to do some planning. And Marcia gave some good nuggets in terms of what we should be doing and how to really have that conversation. And then we talked about, engaging an attorney or going up to the website. And we talked about the Attorney General's website, which is azag.gov, to be able to get the forms. And there's a button called Seniors, and the third one down is Life Care Planning. Click on that, and you'll find all the forms that you need to really put your plans, memorialize them, and make them known. The other thing that's on here is consumer scams and senior scams. There's so many of them out there, Marcia, and I know that, you've been doing this now for a little while, and you probably see a lot of stuff that is out there, but, there's stuff that is coming in via the mail, stuff that's coming in email. There's moving scams, there's roofing scams, there's home repair scams. There's so much out there. How do we... we almost are desensitized to that. You and I are, because we see that stuff coming in. I mean, whether it be something from Nigeria or Jamaica or whatever it is in an email, we just know to delete it. But how do we protect our vulnerable population?
It's really difficult. I mean, there's always education. I know on my phone, if I don't recognize the number or the caller, I don't answer it. And if that person doesn't leave a message, that tells me a lot. If they do leave a message, I'll call back, and it's something I want to call back, I'll call back. But, but often, similar to when you used to get direct mail pieces, we don't get that so much, or the fraudulent direct mail pieces. Now it comes via email, and the technology is such that it can really be personalized. So the recipient thinks it's really for them. Somebody tailored this for them. They're not as sophisticated, or maybe not as cynical as some of us who recognize, that's just a mail merge process. And especially, this can often be people who are lonely.
Yeah.
Someone who has lost their spouse, or maybe they don't have a social group, their family is not around. So here's someone reaching out and taking an interest. And so they, will respond to that. And the the perpetrators, who, I hope that there really is a special place in hell for them, take advantage of that need and that vulnerability. And Bob, you and I were talking earlier about someone we have heard about who is a victim of a scam. Someone in another country, send us a large amount of money and we will invest it and you'll get like a regular annuity payment back. But it's not going to happen. And the saddest part, you mentioned the Attorney General's website, and they are very responsive to this issue, as is the FBI. But if it's funds that are offshore, there's a limited amount that they can actually accomplish sometimes. So other than it, I guess the best that with the people that we love, to stay in touch with them, even back to the issue with the powers of attorney. I know my mother, I had online access to her bank account, and she was perfectly capable of getting her bills, paying her bills, but I would take a quick look at that just once a month because, we all have a similar bills every month, similar expenses every month. So I could just look at it for 30 seconds and see that it was the same as it usually was. But if I saw a large credit card bill or some kind of payment to someone I'd never seen before, that would alert me. Thank God I didn't have this situation, but it would have alerted me to say, hey, Mom, what's going on? What's this new charge? To intervene at a time when maybe you could prevent further abuse.
There's so many of these things that are coming through, and they come in on my phone as well. And the one that I keep getting over and over again is the IRS calling me. And they're talking about you're going to be filed with a lawsuit. They're demanding payment on the phone. Give me a debit card number so you can't trace it back, or go out and purchase a gift card. I mean, I will promise you the IRS is not going to call you.
That's right. The IRS will never call you. Even if you, deserve to be called by the IRS, their contact will be by mail. And so you would get a letter and you would be given instructions to respond in a certain way. But any phone call unsolicited from someone who says that they are the IRS, and also outside of business hours. Even if it were the IRS to call, maybe if they were returning a call, it would not be outside of business hours. So if the call says it's from the IRS and you must provide this information, it is a scam and you should just hang up.
Exactly. And then there's, online dating. You talk about people that are being lonely. I mean, just be careful. You just really don't know what is legit anymore. And for me, I share this with my listening audience a lot. I get a lot of my statistics from the trade shows that I participate in, the publications that I subscribe to. But we have 1/3 of our 65 and older population that lives home alone. And that number is going to grow. Some are estimating it'll grow up to almost 50% in the next 20 years. And, these people don't see or touch or with anybody, so they are susceptible to these type of scams, if you would. So, we have to do better, and I love your statement. There's got to be a special place in hell for some of these folks.
But unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily help our loved ones right now, so we just need to be vigilant. And, of course, the other part that is really heartbreaking is sometimes even when the family becomes aware and speaks to their parent, then the person is embarrassed. And so they say they don't want help, or they hide what's been happening. And so that makes it more difficult to help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, just be mindful of that and do some of the things that Marcia has talked about. I love the idea that, we should, as adult children, maybe connected to our parents' accounts, bank accounts and stuff, and just be mindful of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to punt over, no pun intended. It is football season, but we don't really have much of a football team. But we won last week. I mean, can you believe it? Beat the Green Bay Packers in the middle of a snowstorm.
On any given Sunday, isn't that what they say?
Any given Sunday, and we got the Detroit Lions coming here on Sunday, so anything can happen. But I do want to talk about long-term care. And I know this is something that, we talked about advanced directives and planning, more for end-of-life stuff, but this is kind of end-of-life as well. But, one of the things that I run into, and I know you run into all the time, is when people can't live home alone any longer and they need to move somewhere else. It's never too late to start planning. And really, I'm reaching and appealing out to the adult children out there. I'd like you to share a little bit with our listening audience some of the things that you see. And, some of the things you see, the people really can't do much, but had they done some planning 10 or 20 years early, they would have been in a better position.
Sure. Well, first of all, we talked about Medicare in the first segment about the open enrollment. Medicare does not pay for the kind of care that we are talking about.
Right.
Medicare is health insurance, just like our health insurance that we have when we're younger, that pays for medical expenses, and it would pay for the hospital and maybe a short period of rehab after the hospital if it was needed. But what Bob and I in our industry refer to as custodial care is not paid for by health insurance. So then how do we pay for that? Well, one thing is you might look at long-term care insurance when you're younger. And I also see that's also something that has evolved. Used to be very almost like a traditional insurance product. You pay a premium and then they would cover you if you need that kind of care. That's become very expensive and fewer and fewer companies are providing it. But there are some other products now, which is a combination of life insurance and long-term care. So you would buy a life insurance policy, but a good portion of that would be available if you needed it for your care. What's nice about that is sometimes with the long-term care insurance, people would think, well, I could spend a lot of money on this and I might never use it. But if it's also a life insurance policy, then you can be comfortable to know that someone will benefit from it if you are fortunate enough not to need it. So that's something I would encourage folks in their late 40s and 50s to look at to help plan for the possibility of future long-term care. And one thing I want to touch on also is I've had some clients, I just think this is brilliant. I got the idea from them. They purchased the policy for their parents. They knew that they might have to be responsible for their parents' care. They would rather pay a predictable insurance premium than worry about what might happen later and what that cost would be. So depending on your family situation is also something to consider.
So lots to think about, lots to consider when it comes to long-term care planning. And, the life planning stuff that we talked about in the second segment as well. Well, you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. I've got Marsha Goodman in the house. I said there was one segment at halftime. Now, truly, we have one segment left. Stick around. We'll be right back.
What if I told you there's a wealth management firm that offers a 100% satisfaction guarantee? Think it doesn't exist? Think again.
Hi, I'm Mo Ansari, president of Compact Asset Management. When you start a new relationship with Compact, we'll create your customized investment portfolio and financial plan dedicated to help you reach your goals. Try us out for a year. If you're not happy for any reason, you'll get all of the management and maintenance fee that you paid refunded. This is our 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Dial pound 250 on your cell phone and use the keyword Talk to Mo to find out more. Again, from your cell phone, dial pound 250, keyword Talk to Mo. Satisfaction guarantee doesn't apply to fees and commissions charged by third parties for such things as insurance products or mutual fund redemptions. It also doesn't apply to any market losses which might occur in an account. For additional information regarding this guarantee, please see the disclosure brochure available at the time you enroll or upon request.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
Are you purchasing a home or looking to refinance? Confused about mortgages or the process of getting a mortgage? You're in luck. Joe Capitano, Senior Vice President with Homeowners Financial Group, will bring his 27 years of experience specifically to coach and educate you. Listen every Wednesday at 1 p.m. for his extensive knowledge in terms you will understand. Welcome Joe and the JoeLoans.com Hour. Online at JoeLoans.com. That's JoeLoans.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance knows you're focusing on the road right now, so we'll just describe our new billboards to you. They're horizontal rectangles with a yellow background. The headline reads, Liberty Mutual customizes your auto insurance so you only pay for what you need. And while that might sound like a lot of words for a billboard, they all fit perfectly. Overall, it's a pretty great advertisement.
Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer.
Make Burlington your one-stop holiday shop for the hottest gifts for everyone. Name brand watches, gift baskets, wireless, sweaters, toys at a fraction of the price. Burlington, gifts for everyone.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we're on our fourth segment. I got Marsha Goodman in the house. She has been selecting our tunes all afternoon, and I usually select this last one, Working for the Weekend. It's Cowbell Friday. Working for the weekend, baby. So here we are wrapping up our show. We were talking about long-term care planning and how important it is to do that. And it is expensive, and I'll make no bones about it. The work that we do at Cypress is incredibly rewarding, but, not everybody has the resources to do it. And your point is so well taken. So many people think that Medicare is going to pay for it or their health plan is going to pay for it, and guess what? It doesn't. The only way we get paid is through long-term care insurance, which you described, or we get paid with cash.
Right.
That's it. Or the last option is if you don't have the funds and you are, you make, less than $2,000 a month, and you have less than $20,000 in the bank, liquid. What is the criteria? I'm talking about Medicaid. Okay. So what is the criteria? Because you're the expert on that.
So for Medicaid, if you make less than $22.50 a month, and if you have less than $2,000 in assets, your house is not. But while that sounds like you had to completely impoverish yourself, if someone is married, so one spouse needs the help and the other spouse is what they call the well spouse or this community spouse, that spouse is allowed to keep a portion of assets up to about $125,000 of assets, which is not, I realize, not necessarily enough to retire on, but sometimes people think that both spouses have to spend down to that $2,000 level, and it's not necessarily the case. So that's another example of what you were saying before, which is especially if a spouse gets a diagnosis of dementia or some other condition where you would anticipate that they're going to need ongoing care, right then is when you should start to talk to an elder law attorney or learn a little bit more about how to plan, because even if you don't have a lot of assets or you don't have the long-term care insurance, there are ways to protect a significant portion of your assets if you plan as far in advance as is feasible.
Right, and a lot of times we don't have control over that.
That's right.
But to your point, I think you need to invest the time and money in talking to the experts, because the state will be able to help subsidize that through our state access plan. We call it ALTEX, the Arizona Long-Term Care Plan. And we in Maricopa County, we have 3 managed care organizations. We've got United Healthcare, we've got Banner University Family Plan, and we've got Mercy Care. And you can get those benefits through them. With us, we call it home and community-based service work, which Cypress does. We're contracted with all 3. If you need some assistance at home, they can get that at home. And the state will pay for that.
And that is unusual. Not every state provides that. Some states' Medicaid programs only pay for care in a nursing home type setting. So I applaud when Arizona has what's called a waiver. When the federal regulations came out, states were allowed to suggest something that they thought might be better. And Arizona did that, and one of the elements of that, as Bob said, is they will provide that care at home that the state will pay for. Now, from their perspective, it's because that might be less expensive than the person being in a nursing home. But for that person and their family, it also could be such a better quality of life if they're able to get some help at home. And we talk in our practice about getting the care you need when you need it. So much better when someone begins to decline if they can have someone come in and help them, let's say, with their showers and their dressing, because those are dangerous activities.
Sure.
And if they can get that help rather than get no help and then fall and break a hip, and then they have no choice but to be in a residential setting. So sometimes people are surprised that I will say good things about our All-Tex plan, but I think it had some very forward-thinking elements.
Well, you know what, and there are a lot of people that may not say such great things, but I will tell you that Arizona is one of the better states.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
And, I hear the horror stories from my other colleagues that are working in other states, and they can't believe some of the things that we're doing. So we're pretty progressive, and that waiver program is a good indication as to what it is.
And I also like to point out that if someone does need to go into residential care, there, as I say to people, there's no poorhouse in Arizona. There's not one terrible nursing home where people go if they're on All-Tex and you would never want to set foot in there otherwise. Many of the exact same facilities that you might choose if money were no object have a contract with those 3 service providers, and they will accept payment from All-Tex maybe after you've lived there for a period of time on private pay, which is another reason to plan in advance and select a facility that would roll over to All-Tex if that should become necessary.
So as we wind down this 4th segment, 5th time is a charm. Marcia, it's so good to have you on. I know we only have a couple minutes here. What lasting comments, what would you like to share? We covered a lot of material here today. What would you want our audience to take away?
So I'm going to use a little analogy. My husband used to be an administrator in a law firm, and they had an expression that we might not have time to do it right, but then we have time to do it over. And that applies to this also. You might not think you have time right now to do the planning, but believe me, it will take so much more time to deal with the results of not having planned if you don't plan up front, not to mention just the financial cost, and most important, the emotional cost of feeling that you're up against the wall and you don't have options. So I think the main takeaway would be to plan ahead, and then you know it's done. You put it on the shelf. That's something you check off your to-do list, and you know that you're ready if something should happen in the future.
Kind of like the old adage, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right?
That's exactly right.
Well, Marcia Goodman, it was so good to have you on the show. Have a great weekend. You've been listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've had Marsha Goodman here in the studio from Fraser, Ryan, Goldberg, and Arnold. If you want to reach out to her, 602-277-2010. We'll be back next week. Have a great weekend.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN, Mesa, Phoenix, and K287BX Mesa. Take a look at the markets. Dow down 632 points at 24,314. S&P down 69 points at 2626. And NASDAQ down 229 at 6958.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news.